Yay, we're alive. That took a good, 2 minutes.
That it did. I was sitting here starting to wonder, like, did you press the button? Did you press it the right way? Did you push it? Did you push it? Push it again.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
I know that feeling. It's like, really, really,
Mhm.
really, really. But,
Yeah.
it's been a really busy week.
Hmm.
A lot of new developments. Monday hit like a rocket ship.
Well, yes. It
Yeah.
yeah. We've been doing a lot. We've had a lot of stuff going on. We had an unfortunate recent incident with the fish tank.
Mm-hmm.
We were so excited. We had added more fish, and then apparently some of the water from the pet store got into the tank. And suddenly we had massive, massive ick on all the fishies.
Well, not only that, but all our chemicals were off.
Yeah, yeah, our chemical numbers went crazy. So we actually lost all of our fish,
Mm-hmm.
which was sad. That was within what, about 48 hours?
Oh, within a couple hours, and because I was able to go to the pet store, get new stuff, and it still was get medicine, and it still wasn't quick enough.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about between adding fish and then
Oh yeah, that was within
this all went
24 hours.
yes. So
And
good evening. How are you?
huh?
We left that part out. How are you?
I am doing fairly good today. Busier than ever, having a lot of reflection on how technology has changed.
And
Um,
hello, Brenda. Yes, technology has changed a lot.
yeah,
And you were even having a moment right there before we started the show when it was like, I have to get rid of this application now.
right.
Because like this is not going to work. This is not going to work. This is too much. But it was funny. So he recently installed the independent Facebook Messenger app, which I, once it first debuted, had installed on the desktop behind me and was like, welcome to IT. Sometimes you just install stuff because you're like, other people are going to install this and then they're going to have problems with it and then they're going to call me. So yeah, that's half my installing stuff is, ooh, that looks cool. My clients will probably click on that. Uh, like I don't need it, I don't want it, but here you go. So I end up with a lot of random stuff on my computer. But yeah, and so your complaint is that like all of this is great, except
Well, I think they had some really good products in the back in the day. We had Yahoo Messenger, you had an AIM Messenger, and
Mhm.
you could adapt and change them and change the notifications and change the tones. Not any damn more.
Well, yeah, but like your whole complaint was I can't be having this going off in the middle of the show.
Mm-mm.
This is too damn loud.
Right.
And I'm like, and you were like, I thought this would be a cool like retro throwback to have an independent messaging app on my computer. And I'm
Mhm.
like, but isn't it though?
But it
Like
is.
how useful was AIM for if for no other reason than you could wake people up in the middle of the night. Could anyone sleep through a chain series of AIM messages? I never could. I
Right.
never could. You could wake me out of a dead sleep with that. Like, bam, 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 bam. What do you want? It was like cop knocking on a front door. Like, it will wake you from the dead.
Really? Hmm.
AIM was. AIM was. It
Yeah.
would pull me out instantly.
See, I wasn't
Now,
an boy. I was a Yahoo boy. I was a Messenger Live boy. I enjoyed both of those. And of course, Yahoo enabled us to have our own chat rooms, we can have group rooms, and it's like Facebook, go buy the damn code and change and let us change our sounds. You know,
well, we
and
didn't get a chance to dig in before the show, though, did we? to like see like what all can we do? Can we silence all the notifications? Some of the notifications? Can we do a thing?
No.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And that may be a forthcoming, release, because you can't be the only one being like, you know what, it's like 2:00 in the morning. I have a family. They would like to sleep, but this computer stays on.
Right. And the messenger you can't turn off. So Yahoo Messenger, I used to be able to exit all the time. Not anymore.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah, AIM and ICQ back in the day.
See, ICQ was cool. I used to get
into trouble. Do what now?
I used to get into some trouble at ICQ.
Yeah, ICQ got me in trouble all the time. My dad was a light sleeper, and you want to talk about something that could pull him out of out of sleep. From a floor away, mind you, floor away, was an ICQ chat.
Yeah.
But yes, yeah, that was.
Still loved IRC. I wish we could get back to having an IRC usefulness. That was awesome. A lot of great talk during that.
Yes. Yeah. It was a fun application. You could do a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
It like for its time, when you think back, we lost something when we moved away from like ICQ and IRC programs.
Yeah.
But then again, I think in a lot of ways online, some of the things that we dropped in favor of other things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, for good reasons, they did kind of get out of control before we forgot what these things were. Like news groups went a little crazy.
Well, news groups were creative content.
Yeah. But then they got spammed. Like the reason we walked away was because they got spammed.
Yeah.
It started out as this really great thing, and we had wonderful moderators who would come in and clean up the garbage and get rid of people.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden they became unmoderated, or a lot of them did.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was just like, this is a sea of garbage.
Right.
Oh yeah, IRC will get you into some strange places there, Brenda. It really did. But we also made really cool friends.
Right. Yeah.
It was wild.
Right. And when I look at it, that's one of the things I'm like, this generation doesn't have a clue on.
Well, but it's not that I don't think they have a clue. I think they very much have a clue, because there are apps that I run across that I'm like, what the hell is that?
Mm-hmm.
To find out that on the sub 20 crowd,
mm-hmm.
this is ubiquitous.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting here. I'm old enough to be their father in the sub 20 crowd. I could be their dad. Legitimately. I'm just like, what the hell is that? When did that come out? How did that become a thing? That was my reaction to Snapchat for a while. Was like, what is that? What is this? What? And I still don't get it. I apparently do not have enough people in my age group
mm-hmm.
for this to be a legitimate thing, or I can't figure it out. I get it premise wise.
Mm-hmm.
I get the premise. I apparently either don't know how to use it yet.
Uh-huh.
From any of the attempts that I've made to try to figure this out, because I thought for a second it was going to be a flash in the pan app.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay, I'm going to have to learn that for 5 minutes and then let it go. But no, it's still here. People are still using it.
Yep, I've got to reinstall it.
Okay.
Because I abandoned Snapchat, but now they've added discovery mode to it. So now I'm going to have to reinstall it. It's like Facebook stories. I'm still trying to figure out how to get an Aeson Knight Facebook story out. Instagram stories is a whole new thing. These are made now, in our old days, we ran our own chat rooms. I used to run Black Knight's Castle all the time. We done shotgun readings and quick readings and, done a little advertisement. So, yeah, you guys may start seeing some stories here soon.
Yeah.
But I'm also seeing within the industry, you know how you always say porn is always the leader to tech?
It is. That's not me being weird. That's a literal fact. You want to know what won VHS over beta? Porn.
Yeah.
You want to know what makes taking photos and videos of your grandkids so easy? Porn. That got you cameras. That got you video cameras. That got you away from silent film. It literally did, because those were like the outliers, or the outlier porn, or pornographic production moved this technology forward. They were willing to adopt it. They were willing to play with it. They were willing to work with it and to keep going with it.
Right.
Even in time, like the only thing you didn't really get out of porn was Technicolor.
Right.
And that's because that has to do with animation, and that was a little different.
Well, and it is a lot different. But
love face-to-face chat porn.
Exactly.
There you go.
But I'm beginning.
Oh, and that's a good point. Sorry, Brenda actually technically brought up a good point. Because for some of you who don't realize, back in the day, way back, Yahoo, which you were a Yahoo boy, most of the reason people were on Yahoo, most of the reason that people were on Yahoo Messenger specifically, was because you could do face-to-face video chat, also known as cybering.
Yeah.
So again, porn.
Or, whole room video chat.
So y'all freaking out because your Zoom room got the one guy who doesn't know how to use it. You can thank guys like him. Yeah.
Yeah. But, so we have porn testing the technology. I think looking at things, the psychic world is the one that tests the workplace changes.
Well, at least work from home.
Well, not only work from home, but work from anywhere. I mean, we were, excluding the old, take your, Mary Kay and your Avon and all that, but real work from home businesses. Psychics were the one testing that. I mean, looking back over time, and I've had to do that over the past week and a half as we were doing a few things. Originally, right now where I am on 11 different networks, I'd have to have 11 different computers.
Well, or you have to use all 11 independently, because they're not big fans of overlap.
No.
Your availability has to be exclusive to, most of the time, to each of the 11 networks.
Well, see, this is what, literally, it was part of your contract. You could not install you could not have Keen Business on the same computer as you had another business on. You couldn't have Click for Advisor on Psychic Power Network. Psychic Power Network actually mailed you a computer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. If you were a manager, they provided your computer. That's how, FBI showed up at my door one day, and I'm like, oh, you want the white one over there that says Hewlett Packard, do not touch the Dells.
Yeah.
They're not included in your search warrant.
Oh, wow. Now that's telling a white Hewlett Packard. That tells everyone a decade immediately. Like, I know that computer. I've seen that computer. I've worked on that computer. I've completely disassembled and reassembled that computer before.
Yeah, I have two
I
at
know
2 in
it.
the morning.
Hmm?
But I have two at 2 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So and that's when we used to be on hold waiting for an operator to connect us to our client.
Mm-hmm.
Click to call was not a thing, people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Um, 900 numbers and phone bills. And, I remember having a long distance bill of $700 was my
Mm-hmm.
average phone bill.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I got a
and
hair in my coffee. This is
right.
horrible.
And then, Zip Talk came along and replaced us. We, no longer sitting there with the worst freaking elevator music ever because someone said, oh, they're new age. And for some reason, that became easy listening music.
Well, Muzak didn't offer a lot of options that
Yeah.
are like new age.
Uh-huh. Well,
Muzak in general.
today you can even choose your own hold music on some systems.
Right. Well, and that's the joy of voice over IP phone systems is those have opened up a lot of abilities that we didn't have before.
Right.
Because when you're talking about older PBX systems, you had exactly, I believe, one input for a hold music system.
Uh-huh.
And that could be anything from a literal like Walkman CD player, to a cassette deck, to a multi-disc changer, to a Muzak system.
Yeah,
Like those were your options.
I'm quite sure it was a music system that was just terrible.
Well, yeah, but they were terrible but wonderful at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what was the quality you were getting? Like, were you actually tonally not getting drowned out? Like, were you hearing real music, or were you hearing like that horrible sound you get when you try to listen to a concert or to Vivaldi over phone?
It's more like trying to listen to a MIDI.
Okay, then that was a Muzak system.
Right.
And there's a reason for that. There's a reason it is a bad idea on old school telephone to try to create your own hold music.
Uh-huh.
Bad idea. And there's a simple reason for it. Telephone signal is compressed range.
Mm-hmm.
So and it is built for human voice.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the range it is trying to transmit. So when you start pushing outside of that range for everything you would get in music, it suddenly gets compressed. And a big thunderous roll or a really sharp note turns into something totally different. So the upside of Muzak hold systems are that is specifically created and selected in a way that you can compress that music into the same bandwidth, into the same range of the human voice. It's also why some of it is really weird.
Well, I just know it was annoying as Hades, but love to hear the client is now waiting for you. We will be connecting you now. Please prepare for your reading. And it's like, okay, fine. And granted, in that day, we were kept back to back to back to back to back. I mean, forget about half the stuff that, I complain about because it still ain't even to that level yet, again. And then, we got to where websites were loading faster and we could do more things with them. And ZipTalk came out with this new click to call system that you don't have to be on hold anymore. They will just connect you as you need to. And the 11 went to 4. And the reason it went to 4 computers is because at that time, if I could run Explorer, I could run
multiple browsers. Well, because the computers got better. That's the other part of this. Is that systems got better. I remember a point in which it was a struggle to create a high school newspaper. And this was a monthly edition. It was a struggle to create that newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
because we were working on Mac Classics and Mac SEs. The pretty little bread box on its end. Yeah, that's what we were. And so you're talking about a 9-inch black and white screen or a 9-inch color screen.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to design or was there a color screen on one of them too? No. So black and white. Sorry, I just caught
Green
myself.
and
I'm like, that's wrong.
Green and white.
But
I mean, green and black.
Yeah, all black and white, and we did an annual color edition.
Uh-huh.
Do you know how hard it is to try to choose colors and then make sure, like, because you end up having to do it in shades of gray.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to print this and tag them, like what each gray gradient is, what color that is.
Mm-hmm.
And you're working with it all in your head
Mm-hmm.
to remember that if I apply this gradient here, this is going to show up as this color red.
Mm-hmm.
If I apply this color or this gradient here, it's going to show up as green.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And, what, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we were able to move to laptop and, just
5
got
or 6 years ago. Oh my God, no. Talk about 15 is when I made the move to laptop.
Right. That's when
exclusively
Hammer made the move to laptop. But I forever were carrying 2 and 3 laptops to support.
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted to go anywhere.
Right.
And, my own router. And that's real fun to plug into a hard, we used to have to make sure that the hotel had a hard line system.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That had to be a moment to get to a hotel and find out they lied about that shit. And be like, now I have to go find another hotel I have to cancel because I can't work.
No, because we still, at that time, I still had my, Earth.
What? Earthlink?
Yeah, Earthlink account. So we would just plug the phone, plug it into a splitter, and then we'd dial in.
No. Oh, that's not even cool. Because now keep in mind, when I moved back to West Virginia in 2010, my grandmother is sitting in West Virginia, and now granted, she's 90 years old at this point, sitting in West Virginia with her web TV 2. She already had the 1. It died. She got a 2. And a dial-up connection.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I moved back with a computer that didn't even have a modem. So that was like issue 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was a moment. I had to go buy a modem card. And I'm like, okay, I can make this work. And then I got like a month into this, and I'm like, no, I can't. I cannot go back to dial-up. I don't know what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Because and that's where I was by 2010. Is I have to have broadband. I can't live with dial-up. Not a thing. Not a thing.
I moved back from Columbus. I had to write a lovely $3,000 check to Sudden Screw.
Well, yes.
To have them run cable, internet, 2 gigs to my home.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And have a business account.
Yeah. I know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
The things that just a few years ago
mm-hmm.
were, acceptable, were reasonable, that people were still dealing with.
Yeah.
But then you've also got to capture the fact that there are parts of the state that's the best they can do.
Mm-hmm.
That literally you want high-speed internet, you're going to be spending a lot more than $3,000 to run a cable.
Right.
Now, that is supposed to be getting better.
Supposedly.
Yes.
So we move into, up until 2 days ago, Aeson has a super laptop
Yes.
designed by a tech specialist. You know, he went through and said, "What do you need?" And I said, "Everything."
Yep.
And now I'm in. I am beta testing for a number of companies to where my world is now reduced to this.
Yes. Now, what I'm curious about with the networks going to phone-based apps,
Mm-hmm.
which so far is like your beta test is going really well. Like you're really super excited.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm worried about is that for much of the world,
Mm-hmm.
uh, home computer, home internet, maybe not so much a thing. Like there are parts of the world, especially developing nations,
Mm-hmm.
in which all of their resources have been applied to cellular networks and getting
Mm-hmm.
high-speed data on cellular networks and literally empowering people through getting a cell phone in every hand.
Right.
And it's changed entire economies.
Right.
And the ability of people to open their own independent businesses, accept payments, work from home for foreign companies, etc. Do you think that with creating this app, that these networks are looking to tap into that employment base
I don't
and
think they're
start
looking to tap
bringing
into the
those advisors
employment base
in?
because they can't.
Okay.
There are some large, legal regalities that we're going to have to come over hurdles with. That is still trying to be worked out because normally we are at the cutting edge of where it's at. However,
Mm-hmm.
I've already got clientele from those areas, except for certain countries that are just banned. Like I don't have any clients in Nicaragua,
Nicaragua?
Nigeria,
Okay.
Nigeria, or there's another country that psychics are totally banned, so we don't have any clientele there. Um, I
Okay.
am seeing an increase of app use out of Taiwan, South Korea, Middle East, Russia, um, and of course, Australia and New Zealand have had their own apps and their own systems, and we're now being brought on board. What we are having to watch and having to see is exactly where some of the things like China
Mm-hmm.
and how that regulation is. Like in China, there are some things that psychics can't talk about. Like I
Okay.
can't talk government, Italy, government, anything if they identify it as China. North Korea, of course, is a total blackout. Like I don't think they have cell phones yet. Um, Russia, there's certain laws in Russia like that we have to abide by. But as an independent business owner, I have to know all this crap because while I'm conducting business here in Poco, West Virginia, I got to know that, I'm going to be recorded if I have a British collar. I'm going to be recorded if I have an Italian color. I'm going to be recorded if it's a New Zealand collar. Those
Mm-hmm.
chats and communications, and even if it's a private client, I still have to record that
Okay.
because the government requires it to be recorded and held for 11 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which it can be a lot. And that is often, though, where platforms like networks come in very, very handy because that is part of what their cut of this is for, is maintaining those records
Right.
and knowing which calls they have to record and which calls they can record.
Right. And which calls cannot be recorded.
Right. As well as now for any of the networks, does like you're talking about, this is like if this is a Chinese caller,
Mm-hmm.
I can't talk about the following.
Right.
Do any of the networks like give you a heads up that, hey, big warning, don't do that?
No, the only thing I hear is call will be recorded.
Okay. Well, but I was just meaning in terms of like, hi, This
Mhm.
is caller. This call is originating from a country that has strict policies on the following.
Right. No.
Proceed with caution.
Right. We don't get
Um,
that notification, unfortunately.
I wonder why.
Um, I think it's because they fear that we will change our reading tactic.
Well, but at the same time, though, doesn't that put you guys, the advisors, in a really tough spot? Like, if you get someone who doesn't know or doesn't understand or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't that put the network at risk and the company at risk for getting into that situation? Or does that only attack the, like,
That's
I'm
a
calling from China. I don't know that I'm not allowed to talk to, say an American psychic and about the Chinese government.
right. Uh,
Does the China, and if we do that, because the advisor I'm talking to in America doesn't know any better
mm-hmm.
or doesn't care
Right.
or isn't informed about this, or doesn't even realize the call's from China until way later into the call,
Mm-hmm.
does that go back on the advisor, the network, the client, all of the above, some of the above?
Advisor and the client.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the network doesn't get hit for this.
Right. Because they're just seen as the processor.
Yeah, basically they're the phone system.
Right.
That's it. They don't have it. That's really troubling. And by the way, hi Sharon. Sorry, we didn't mean to ignore you there, but we were on a topic.
Right.
But yeah, no, that seems like that would be something advisors would really be lobbying for.
Well, the problem with it is because it is app based.
Mm-hmm.
If they're able to access our site through a VPN or whatever, we don't know.
Then you don't know.
Right.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh. So is that considered a legitimate defense? Have there been any cases of that where like an advisor is sitting here talking to someone that has connected
And
through a VPN?
it hasn't occurred yet. But we got to
Okay.
understand, it's one of those we have to understand the laws. We have to understand the principles. We have to understand that when we hear the agent has left the call now begins to record. All right, you're dealing with one or two. You're either dealing with a British or an Italian client, or you're dealing with a Chinese client or a client from another country where the
Mm-hmm.
government has an interest.
Well, or option three, because you've run into that as well, is that this client has had major issues and you have been hand selected by that network as an advisor that will hopefully be able to not tick them off.
Well, I get those too, but I don't get that same warning.
Oh, well, no, I thought you said though that you had gotten like one recently.
I got one
That,
recently CS called me before the call.
mm.
Yeah, and said
Okay, got it now.
this customer is a customer that has had issues. We are sending them to you.
Like, please make this better.
Right.
Don't make the same mistakes everyone else has.
Right. And to answer Brenda's question, I don't ask them where they're from. I've actually learned over the time I can tell a Chinese dialect from a Taiwanese dialect. I can tell, it's like hearing a British person speak versus a New Zealand or Australian. That enables me a good bit there. Plus, Taiwanese really doesn't care what China is doing most of the time. They more care about what the Americans are doing. If the client,
So do questions in general about China and the government there, do they set off alarm flag or like alarm bells and red flags for you that I might be walking into a minefield here?
not for me. I just
Okay.
already know my boundaries.
Okay.
And the reason we're talking about this and a lot of the things that have gone on is
Mhm.
if you look online or you watch the news, you've heard about the rollout programs, the reopening programs.
Mm-hmm.
And, they've designed them for stylists, nail people, grocery store personnel. I think even the trash man has a COVID-19 policy.
Yes.
Okay? They didn't for our industry at all.
No, and we've had a little back and forth about that as to what's going on with that. Because I know through one of your professional associations, you brought up the topic, and they're like, "Yeah, it's called don't do it."
Right.
Like,
And,
stay on network, stay out of public, just don't do it. Don't do it, man. Don't do it.
and that, not only me, but others have brought it up in the coming weeks. If you do go to aesonknight.com, you will see my new COVID-19 policy. It'll be posted in the events because I will be starting back doing appointments on Saturday, June 20th, at the Crystal Lotus Shop. I have planned to go to Earth Magic on the 11th of July. Granted that numbers stay where they are. If they start going up and we start losing percentile, then yeah, I'm going to have to suspend those. But I will be beginning new live appointments tomorrow.
Yes.
The booking process.
Yes. And to Brenda's comment, is you do pick up some things when you're on the phone a lot.
Right.
And sometimes it's not, like, for me, it wasn't necessarily about in like knowing where someone was from, but I also got used to knowing who someone was.
Right.
Like, I can spot the difference between a CFO and an MBA in about 10 words.
Right.
Like, legitimately tell the difference between a company's CFO, a CIO, a other C-level MBA executive in a company within about 10 words of a phone call, and know who I'm talking to and what power they may have. And that comes from working with debt collection.
All right.
And the phone calls in that randomly came in from clients, prospective clients, and clients in setup, that you could instantly tell the difference. It was a totally different phone call about totally different things, about whole separate issues. But usually, like, before they even got into it, it was somewhere in those first 10 words I could click with who they were within a company and be like, okay, we're ready to go.
All right.
Like, I know, like, the different, like, there's different things you've got to do there.
All right. And there's different ways the calls are handled. I've never given the same reading twice. Like, I refuse to take notes. Clients want to take notes, they can. They've got time for that. I'm not spending 3 hours of my day typing out what I said to you. That's not my style. That's never been my style. PCS Network used to want us to keep track of when the calls start. We had to keep our timesheets. And that's different, but now the system handles that.
Well, and that was the thing, though, that got me. I really would have, like, in the beginning, because we ended up having a whole conversation about that one night. Not on the show. But it got me in the beginning that I would have assumed that there was a real push in the different psychic networks to have CRM, customer relationship management. I would have thought this would have been one of the industries that would have been most reliant or most invested in that idea of having each advisor keep very detailed records so that as you flowed, if you did, or got the same advisor, but if you flowed from advisor to advisor,
Mm-hmm.
Those advisors could see what those previous interactions look like. And you were like, nope, there's
Right.
no notes.
Yeah.
None.
Right.
And I was like, what? It's like, this is the one industry I would have thought, surely to God.
Yeah. Sorry. No, there's no notes. None of us advisors share client information. And that's actually strictly against British policy, which is why nobody does it. There have been rumors that certain networks do that. No, they don't. I've worked for probably everyone on the market. If I haven't, then you better be questioning your pay status.
Well, there you go.
That way.
Okay.
Because there's only a few that I've not been on, and a lot of it is because they are 25 cents a minute networks or 3 cents a minute networks. This is not 1987.
No.
I'm not working for 3 cents a minute. But
the power alone costs you more.
Tell me about it. The power alone, and thanks for the reminder.
Oh dear, do we have to pay a power bill?
No, I need to plug up a phone.
Oh, that's good too.
Yeah.
Because that is the one thing we are noticing with the apps in beta,
Right.
is that these are being very battery intensive.
Very much so.
I think that's going to end up probably being the biggest complaint, is that okay, what can y'all do to get these apps so that they are not like draining the life out of my phone?
Right. I mean, they are finally disconnecting me to where I can walk around the house. I mean, this morning I even watched 2 episodes of Under the Dome in between calls, and it's just like, what do I do now?
Yeah. Well, and that was cute this morning because you were having a bit of a moment.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm unchained from my desk, but I don't know what to do now. Like, I've spent all these years being like, well, if I weren't chained to this desk, I could do the following. If I didn't have to run it through the house every time the damn thing dings, I could get this done. And now you don't have to, but it's almost like you've been in the cage so long that even though the door's open, the like someone opened your little cage door, you're just still sitting there like, I don't believe it's real.
Right.
It's like, oh,
right.
It's sad.
Yeah, but also, you know, we're still testing. We're still seeing where we're at. They've got a large amount of improvement to do. They've done some really amazing things over the past 5 years for us.
Right.
But now I may actually get to enjoy that one room in our house that I have maybe spent 5 hours in the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that weird room in between my office and the hallway.
Well, the weird room in between your office and the bathroom that you just usually fly through and fly back through, because somewhere between getting up and getting to the bathroom, your computer went off.
Right. You know, we might have to actually get a real couch because we don't have a couch. We don't, you know, we have recliner chairs and, you know, chairs on hold and that type of thing.
And so basically the way our living room is set up is literally for like a movie night. And that means that we have somehow, some way convinced you to take a night off.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly it's a birthday or a major national holiday, or a holiday I've declared as a major national holiday. My birthday. Well, technically July 4th. July 4th to us is a major national holiday.
Yep.
Don't screw with my life. That's what that's called. That's he only screwed it up once and then he got it. He got it.
Yeah. But, you know, in general, you know, there are rooms in this house that I don't spend a lot of time in.
Mm-mm. Well, but it is interesting the way that, like, because now we're looking at the ability that is long, like before we've discussed, like if we did a vacation, because we still kind of haven't, Like not like a full on, like we're going to take like 2 weeks and go on vacation, but at the same time, don't want to totally knock you out of working.
Right.
And that, like that discussion came with a list.
Mm-hmm.
You know, okay, it's got to have at least decent phone cellular reception.
Mm-hmm.
That's just required.
Mm-hmm.
It has to have high-speed internet
Mm-hmm.
as a requirement, and we're not just talking like 2 megabit per second, you know, stupid dummy Wi-Fi for your Motel 6s.
Right.
It really legitimately has to offer at least the level in which you could stream video.
Right. And it has to
Or
be
higher.
sweet.
Do I know?
A suite.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
not
it has to be
getting
well, at least has to be set up as a business suite. Yes, it has to be a bifurcated space.
Right.
Because I can put up with a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But having some of the networks, because some are polite and they have polite little sounds, and it's not so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Other networks are going to get your attention no matter what they have to do, and it is loud. It is really, really loud. No matter what you set that volume at, it is still loud.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I can't do that 5 foot from my head or 10 foot from my head. You need a door, or at least, you know, a couple walls and a couple of doorways away from me.
Right.
Because I can't sleep. Because ultimately we have different, you know, schedules.
Yeah. Majorly different schedules.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which benefits us.
Mm-hmm.
I think of a relationship. If you were underneath my feet, I think I'd run you over.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Or, you know, vice versa, I would just run you over with the car. We have full coverage insurance.
I know.
I'm sure I could convince a jury.
Mm-hmm. He did sleep. He only sleeps 4 to 5 hours at a time.
Like, you don't understand my life.
Yeah, because I laid down at like 10:30 this morning. Was up by like 2.
Yeah.
And that's with sleeping meds. And I've never been one of those sleeps nicely.
Yeah,
No.
No, your sleep is split up. It's kind of all over the place. And by the way, guys, if you do have a question, feel free, pop it in. We will get to it within a few minutes.
Yeah.
Just make sure to include your birth date. Just want to throw that out there in case no one's reading the little scrolly. But yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, those are some new life changes. Everyone has kind of moved to homework, and we're like, all right, here's how you do this. We've tested this theory. A dining room table does not work as a desk.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. Not for long-term use. It will annoy your partner. You cannot work from your bed. You have to get up and get dressed to go to work. You know, here's a list of the
Okay,
things.
now that one I'll give you. That was the worst part of college. I will say that was a struggle, only for the fact that I don't know what it is that goes through like the design of college housing. I know it's a money issue to some degree. Like we can't give you the best of everything, so here's mediocrity of everything. With uniformity. But can we just talk about the stupid ass chairs that they give you in a dorm room and then expect you to sit and work? Like literally, this is what you expect me to sit and work in. Like you've actually, I would say more than likely, well, I will say directly, it's not a more than likely, it did create a lot of bad studying, and like issues for me. Because those stupid chairs are friggin' worthless. It's cute. It slides under the desk. That's it. So the most important thing I would say is if you are going to live in a college dorm, have, which you can do, by the way, we found this out, have maintenance come pick that stupid little piece of crap up and send your kid with a damn office chair.
Right. And that's kind of a very good point moving to, is looking at the real life world of what a college student needs as you're getting ready for them, either this semester or the next semester, because we don't know if they're going back, depending on the college and how intelligent they are. Things to invest in.
Yeah.
Computer. You want to don't worry about the desktop. Get them a laptop.
Well, I think most everyone's there on that.
Okay.
By now, if you're still sending in 2020 or 2021, this fall, if you're going to send your student to college with a desktop, they better either be comp sci or information sys majors, and then you already know that there's a laptop to go with that.
Right.
But no, please do not send your, art and design, MBA, math, whatever student to college with a desktop. This is so bad.
Right.
Don't
also
do it.
Invest in a good desk chair.
Absolutely.
They're going to be in it a lot. You want to also make sure, and this is something that not a lot of people talk about, if you got a big boy or a big girl going to college, buy them a big girl or a big boy chair.
And I will tell you that a good chair, and now we will slightly give Walmart credit. I am sitting in a Walmart big boy chair. It was what, 180?
Yeah, 180.
Yeah, it was like $180. And in big boy furniture, big people furniture, 180 is not bad for a chair.
Right. Especially use and time, because we overbuy. If we need a 300 pound chair, we buy a 475 pound chair. Why? Because those chairs are recommended for 8 hours. There are times I am in my desk chair for 17.
And if you want to figure out what your weight minimum on a chair is, here is what you do. You take you set up a lovely little math equation. It's very, very simple. You do 80 over 100, your weight, and solve for X. And basically what that becomes is your weight times 100 divided by 80 will tell you what the minimum weight is that you need a chair to support to be usable. Because here's the problem with office chairs. That weight that they're quoting is the absolute structural maximum and is not intended for all day long use.
Right.
So if you're going to be in it for 8 to 10 hours or more per day, which, hi, welcome to the working world, that chair is not built to comfortably handle that weight for that period. That is just the structural limit.
Right. And while this may seem, Sharon brings up a good point that, like, Putnam County is sending iPads and Lenovo laptops home for kids. That's a great start for technology. Getting those kids into good desk chairs, because 13 and up, their spinal structure is starting to form. Need to learn how to sit in a chair.
Yeah. Well, because I'll tell you the dorm room experience, what's going to happen, because I went from a house in which I had a really crappy task chair, which, if you guys have noticed, I lean forward a fair bit. And I actually have a curve to my spine that comes from, I would kind of say comes from that chair. I have bad posture sitting habits. But what made it worse was college, because that stupid desk chair, useless. You know what you end up doing as a college student? You take that great big giant bed, the extra long twin that you had to go buy specialty sheets for that still don't fit right.
Mm-hmm.
And you end up buying pillows.
Mm-hmm.
And you create this really stupid L that you now do all of your work in.
Right.
Or you end up sitting on crappy dorm provided couches or college provided couches or in other idiotic chairs from the university spattered all over campus, because I swear to God, they bought 1,000 at a time, which they did. But they're all the same. They're all crap. They're not meant for long-term use. And you end up very, very uncomfortable. You end up with a lot of spine problems. You start doing a lot of bad things.
Right. Now think of that.
Mm-hmm.
What you went through in college.
Mm-hmm.
If you were 13, 14,
Mm-hmm.
or younger, I would say if you're a parent getting ready for school this 21, part of that conversation needs to be workspace. Workspace for students, workspace for your children. Where are they, give them dedicated space, because that makes homeschooling a lot easier.
Exactly. And more importantly, if you can, please keep in mind your children, like let's go with under 27s. Set it at 26. Anyone 26 and under seriously needs to learn proper posture and have good chairs. Please, please, please. Like, you don't understand the fact that these are kids with nice, soft, supple spines, nice growing bones, and you're training them like you would train a ivy on a trellis.
Right.
If they are sitting on crappy surfaces, they're going to end up with a crappy trellis.
Yep. For long hours.
Well, yeah. I mean, granted, kids, it's great. You can do some stuff, and kids are resilient. They really are. Their bodies can be untrained from lots of things. It's never too late to try to fix this.
Yes.
I didn't. I had one crappy chair after another.
Right.
Until literally at one point in college, I finally broke down and bought a decent chair.
Right.
And it made the biggest difference.
Right. And it does. It makes a great bit of difference. And, teaching them things like you have to get up and move. We let gamers sit forever in the recliner or on the kitchen couch. On the couch in the living room and game for hours. No, make them get up and move.
No. If you're a marathon gamer, you need to be in a real chair, not a couch or a recliner. You're gonna end up doing some damage to your body.
Right.
Because the problem with those sitting surfaces is ultimately your feet are on the floor. You're not moving. You start having some pulling and problems with circulation.
Right.
So yeah. Anyway, that's some of our across the board work from home / play from home. Because we do recognize professional gamer as a real job.
Right.
Like we really do. And with that, you have to make choices, and you have to be intelligent about it, because try not to die doing this.
Yeah.
Like, kitchen chairs were not meant for you to do an 8-hour work day.
Right.
Like, no, don't do it.
Don't do it. Amazon has some lovely chairs on the market, big and tall chairs. If you Google search it, there's a few stores that carry them. You can actually order them straight from the manufacturer, skipping the middleman and their markup. But invest in good workspaces, good work chairs. As far as desk, you can pick up a door for like $5 at the resale store. You can get 2 filing cabinets for $5 each at the resale store. slapped together, you've got a great workspace. That's what have moved into because you built it for you. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I need that amount of spread out room. Don't be getting.
And if you want to make it your own project, you want to spend a few bucks extra. What I actually did was I bought an unfinished, you know, basically it was a door without any of the hardware, any of the stuff.
Right.
Like it wasn't like, I forget what it's called. Like the chiseling for the hinges or the drill out for the lock set, like none of that. It was an unfinished door. And literally all I did was stain it and polyacrylic it.
Right.
Like some sanding. It's a fun weekend project. It's really not that hard. It came out gorgeous.
Right.
Absolutely gorgeous. And the only thing you have to remember is that one, you're not going to be able to have sex on this desk. Two, watch where you put stuff.
Right.
Make sure it's supported. Like if you've got a heavy ass printer, that goes over top of one of the two filing cabinets because you need the support. You don't want to put that in the middle. You will bow it, you will bend it, you will break it.
Right. The other thing there, and something else that a lot of people don't talk about that's highly important, and schools probably aren't sending them home with children, is sending home.
Oh dear. Inbound. Oh dear. Business clients.
Yeah. This is clients. Watch the show. Don't be messaging me.
Message us here. Come on, man.
Here. And it's one of the clients that actually listen to Blog Talk.
Come on, guys.
Yeah, but important. Get headphones. They're not expensive. Believe me, if you have more than one student, like I know Sharon has 2 kids, 3 kids, and if she happens to be working from home, that's 3 different environments that can be created with headphones.
Yeah. Well, and it's also important to realize with your headphones, if you are buying them for computer use, and let me point that out again, if you are buying them for computer use, please keep in mind most computers still come with a separated headphone / microphone or independent headphone and microphone jacks. It's not often that you see an all-in-one. So that's a good time with so many computers now coming with Bluetooth already part of that computer. To look at Bluetooth headsets or to pick up the cheap ass little splitter.
Yes.
That will split your one in to 2 for your computer so that you have that headset, that corded headset, divided into a microphone input and a headphone jack.
Right. But yeah, please buy them. Please use them. Teach them early office etiquette. It will come in valuable later.
Oh, absolutely. Because God knows I'm sick and tired of kids with apps or kids with phones or mommy's phone playing games, and you're sitting in a friggin' waiting room, and I'm sure like Paw Patrol or whatever the hell app it is really is meant to engage this child, and I appreciate all the effort that went into the educational structure of this game. I don't want to hear it.
All right.
I don't want to hear it. I really don't, because like for 5 minutes, it's okay. I can deal. But around hour 2, I am ready to walk over, pick up your phone, snap it in half, and tell you to go buy headphones and a new phone. And learn how to be a human in public.
Right.
Because I've about had it.
Right. So moving on to some news topics.
Yes.
You know, Dollywood Foundation is doing their literacy campaign. They will be sending books out to children all through the summer. Yeah, and I think, and granted, I'm a fan of Dolly to begin with, but
Mhm.
she has been really the one championing literacy, keeping children reading, getting children's reading. And you can say a lot of things about her park. Um, they're not making the news. Why? Is because they're not doing much.
Right. But yes, she does do a lot with literacy. She has for many, many years. You were actually the one that introduced me to the fact that she ran a childhood literacy program,
Hmm.
which is so awesome.
Right.
But yeah, it really, truly, honestly is. I do wonder sometimes, however, when this may switch over from physical books to the ability to devices.
Well, I think
Um,
that she's still at physical books, and because she does preschool
True.
up to sixth grade, seventh grade, I believe, uh,
Hmm.
and different books each month for different students arriving in the mail, and there's something special about that.
Hmm.
Um, just in general, there's a lot of speciality there. Um, and I just think that, this is one of the things that her foundation is doing, and she's right on board with it. Do I think that they'll ever switch over to Total App? No. Do I think that she will probably offer apps? Most
Hmm.
definitely.
Yeah. And another thing to point out, if no one has heard of it, there is a lovely federal program for and I believe, if I remember correctly, the requirements are age, disabled, blind, and hearing impaired.
Hmm.
And the requirements aren't all that tight on it.
Right.
Literally, it's a doctor signs a letter that will send free. It works as a mail to home. You get a device, or you can get physical books. Great for the elderly. They have large print editions of lots of popular books.
Hmm.
They have audio versions of literally everything. It is a very specialized player with a very specialized connection for cartridges that go into it.
Hmm.
We use this with my grandmother, both in, I believe, physical book, and in once that became too much for her, audio. So it allowed her to continue reading for a lot longer, and then with the audio allowed her to continue to enjoy books not quite as she used to, but still enjoy literature for a very long time.
Right.
It was a really great program. It is absolutely 100% totally free.
Right.
They mail everything to you. It is no big deal. You can select multiple titles. And they'll actually even suggest titles in a kind of Amazon-y, you like this, like you've read these books and like them. What about these? Like, we found these we think you might like. Would you be interested?
Right.
Um,
And also, your local libraries have gone digital. They are digital
mhm.
resources, digital books that you can download. As long as you have your library card, they stay on your system for about 2 weeks, and then,
Mhm.
or whatever the rental time is, and then they come
And
off.
you can renew just like the library. You can keep them at, like, now your renewal windows get smaller and smaller. But
Yep.
yeah, there's Overdrive. There's a couple of other. I'm more familiar with Overdrive.
Right.
The biggest problem I've had with the program with my previous local library, I'm bad. I have not gotten a library card since I have moved.
We have,
Um, do what now?
we already have three.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. But anyway, my whole point being that with the my previous library, the only problem I had is that if you didn't use your account for like 60 days, they locked it out.
Right.
And I was like, what?
Yeah, and then you have to call and have it reset. But the point being this,
Yeah.
and
It's
this is
really not.
highly important for any students that have a learning disability, that
Mhm.
has dyslexia or whatever, they're going to read by sight. So you want to expose them to as many words as possible. So you're going to find, I don't care if they want to read the paperback trashy grandma porn novels, comic books, whatever, get your children reading. That's half a problem.
Mhm. And yes, we do call those granny porn.
Okay.
Just so you know. No,
Yeah.
not you. I mean everyone else. Like
Yeah.
seriously, it's a genre. It's called granny porn.
Right.
And if you don't know what I'm talking about by those words, I assure you, you do.
Yes.
It is all the Harlequin romance. It is all of the, and then there's like that whole other like, like there's this weird genre within Christian fiction. I did not know that was a thing. And it's like Amish granny porn.
Oh, those are good, like Rebecca and
Yes,
yeah,
that's the book exactly that introduced me to the concept, and I was like, "Oh my god, this
yeah.
is like Puritan, like it, oh my god, it was so bad."
No, that book is not bad. That book is
Well,
great.
the book is great, but it's like the level of like it's like so subtle, and it's like, oh, for the love of God, I could have put this, romance out of its misery in 5 minutes.
Uh-huh.
Like, just move on.
Yes.
Ah. But yeah.
Yeah. And Sharon says, back off her her historical romance. Love them, especially
Oh,
like
yeah.
Victorian or era, or even
Okay, but I have to ask, and I'll put this out there, and actually, I would love it if Sharon would be a guinea pig for me. For Mary Renault, pick any of well, okay, that's not true. Not any of her books. Um, Last of the Wine. I believe it's The Little Persian Boy. Either one of those. Read it, and I would love to hear someone else's perspective, because for like, okay, Mary Renault was a lesbian author who basically wrote gay porn.
mm-hmm.
Historical period fiction is actually considered a very significant historical fiction writer, but a lot of her books are very hard to read with two hands. That's all I'm going to say. It is one-handed fiction. But yes. Oh, Spinner Summer's buying up all the heart. Keep me occupied through the winter. Keep them home pies burning. Yeah, that works. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
again, I don't care what a kid's reading. Yeah, you may have to have some conversations about why knights don't ride up on horses anymore and no damsel needs to be rescued. Get them reading as young as possible.
Well, and here's my one thing is now Playboy, Penthouse, etc. excluded. That's not really reading. Like if you rip all the images out, go ahead, read whatever you want. But a literal book, regardless of what it is, my biggest thing was in 5th grade. I was told that the book I was reading was inappropriate for my age. I'm sorry, if I can pick it up, read it, and understand it, a book is not inappropriate for anyone's age.
Right.
So that's my challenge to anyone, is never tell a child they are reading something inappropriate for their age.
Right.
If you can pick it up, read it, and understand it, it is appropriate for your age.
Right. And I agree with that, because, a lot of the things I was reading was college level, and they're like, oh, you shouldn't be reading that. I do think that students need to read the classics. I think they should be able to read You need to read Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, and then compare it to historical history. You need to read Frankenstein and compare it to historical history. You need to read Shakespeare, definitely to understand Shakespeare and the commentary that was going on within the plays or within the books.
Mhm.
Birdcage is another one that needs to be read. Um, we'll start with those, and then there's other books that I think really should be read. I think that the days of only reading one book because your mom read it is
Mhm.
over. But you need to understand a lot of what goes into it.
Oh yeah. Now going back to Emily, all right, let me make sure. Oh no, it wasn't. Oh, sorry, Brenda. Going back to Brenda real quick. Yeah, Mom had an entire shelf of like Harlequin romance, Louis L'Amour. Yeah, there was tons of Harlequin romance. And I didn't understand for the longest time. Until I one day realized that this is granny porn. It is totally granny porn. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And just word of warning for those that listen to books on tape, take into account that sometimes your partner can't go to sleep to it.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yes. And that's not an insult. It wasn't. It wasn't an insult. It wasn't because the book was bad that I couldn't go to sleep. It's not like I was sitting here having a grammar attack of going, oh my God. Like, that is the worst constructed sentence ever. No, I'm sitting here, like, and we banned it. We banned book on tape from Fall Asleep. Because he did that to me. He introduced me to an author that he likes inadvertently because he was like, "Do you mind if I listen to a book on, an Audible book, to fall asleep?" And I'm like, "No, fine, whatever." I've fallen asleep to plenty of books on tape, books, audiobooks, not a problem. Psychops series, however, like, and he's in the middle of the book, like at least 2 chapters in. And so he is within probably halfway through the chapter that's being read. And by the end of the chapter, you're already going out.
And I'm back
out to the world.
Halfway through that chapter the next night. But anyhow.
So yeah. So meanwhile, I'm laying there and I'm trying to drift off and I'm getting into the storyline. And it's like chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, chapter 6. And somewhere between chapter 7 and chapter 8, I realized there was no way in hell I was going to bed if I stayed in the room and could hear it.
Right.
Because I relocated to the couch that night because I didn't understand at the point that once you were, we could turn it off. You were fine. You were out. That's all you needed. And
up until 7 o'clock in the morning at that location.
Do what now?
Up until 7 o'clock in the morning at that location.
Yeah. The morning backup horn on the tractor trailer truck for the business behind the house. Yeah, what 7 o'clock alarm? Can't sleep through it.
Yep.
But yeah.
Edgar Casey, a lot of ARC stuff is online. You can actually go and read most of the casework. Definitely, Brenda, be introducing your children to that.
I just read Sharon's. Oops.
Oh, yes.
That reminds me, one of my sisters made a mistake on movie night and inadvertently picked up the wrong movie. For those of you who are unaware, and this has been several years, so you'll know it in a minute. Saddle Tramps and Blazing Saddles are very different movies.
Oh no, you want to tell about your exposure to horror.
I'm a little confused.
Your sister stayed up and let you watch Twilight Zone.
Oh no. My mom had this thing against one, she had issues with kids watching movies in the dark because it'll ruin your eyes. And two, she had a big fear of me seeing horror movies because she was afraid that they would give me nightmares. She thought horror movies were inappropriate for small children. Okay, that was true. And keep in mind, my nephews are on like either side of my age, really close because I was a late life baby. So for one of my nephews, that was very true. He could not watch horror movies. He had horrible nightmares. It was a bad idea. Horrible idea to ever let that child watch a horror movie. He would scream all night long. Me, however, I loved, and still to this day, she holds a special place in my heart. Um, uh, uh, oh, hell, and her name just went out of my head. Mistress of the Dark, Vampira, right? Mistress of the Dark is all that's in my head.
One of two is Mistress of the Dark. There are two that hold that title. One is Vampira. One is Elvira.
Elvira.
Same concept.
Yeah, but the horror movies, yeah, watch those, love those. Tales from the Crypt, dearly friggin' loved. My grandmother and I used to sit up and watch Nick at Night, which was totally different than Nickelodeon. They used to be same channel, totally different lineups. You know, sit there and watch like old Hitchcock films. Mom knew none of this until it slipped. And oh God, was she mad. Meanwhile, I had a brother that as a little kid, and I'm talking little, like I still can't believe this movie theater allowed it. His thing was taking me to R-rated horror. Or sorry, R-rated movies. So I was exposed to a lot.
Right.
Now, some people could say that I'm well-rounded. Some people could say that, you know what, at certain ages, some of it is just going to go right over my head, and it did. Because let me tell you, the first time I rewatched Kindergarten Cop, I couldn't believe my brother took me to that because I saw Kindergarten Cop in theater. Elvira, yeah, Vampira kept hitting my head. I don't know why. Well, but yes, Elvira.
Yes,
but yes, she holds a special place in my heart. I dearly love her. May also be why, as a gay man, I have a thing for big boobs. But anyway, that's a totally different concept and a totally different story. We'll talk about that on Friday.
Anyhow, that still listens to a movie that Aeson has to sit down and watch. It's called Daughter of Dracula. And we have to find the 1940s version.
Okay.
Because it was heavily edited by the
Yes, Elvira Up All Night. Oh my God, loved it.
Because it was heavily edited by the Hays Code, so we have to see how they messed it up. But it looks to be a good film, and we'll let you guys know. However, speaking of different relationships, it seems that it's now coming out that someone made sure to make a business deal before she should move somewhere. Go for it, darling.
Talking about a Vampira. Yes. So there is a lovely new book out about our third lady, the third wife of Trump. And why, the real reason that she was delayed getting to the White House had nothing to do with taking care of Barron's needs in terms of education. There was a lovely code for renegotiating her prenup because of the crap, the leverage she got during Trump's campaign. It is, yes, it is juicy. It is going to be amazing. It's called The Art of Her Deal, a play on Trump's book, Art of the Deal. But yeah, she basically used everything that came out during the campaign to renegotiate so that actually she is in a better standing, and so is Barron, for what is inevitably going to be a post-presidential divorce.
Oh, honey, I think she's already negotiating that with her lawyers on exactly how do we execute this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Something tells me that is going to be let's just be optimistic. When he loses on election night this year, I'd say that divorce gets filed. Otherwise, she has 4 more years
to renegotiate.
Again, election night, or hell, even at that point, I would say halfway or less through his second term, she would be filing that divorce and being like, I'm done. I'm out.
Right. Well, here's the thing with her. He has a type of wife. I mean, if we look at his first wife, I'm sorry. Everybody can talk about, Trump being such a businessman. Bull.
Yeah.
This woman raised, I believe, 2 children, got on a helicopter every day and flew to New Jersey to run a casino, worked 18 hours, flew home, saw her children, went to bed, and got up and done it again. And sorry, they look like they're not, like, they look pretty, but they got brains behind them. But it brings up a good thing about prenups. This is kind of like a hot topic. It has been a large topic in the relationship community about if you should have one, if you shouldn't. Baloney. You should have one.
Yeah. And not always a formalized thing. Like, if you're still at dating level, if you're not married yet, you still need to, and we've had that conversation back when we were on Blog Talk, is having the pre-plan for the breakup. Just go ahead and hash it out now.
Right.
Like, while you can be reasonable human beings caring about each other, hash this out. Figure it out now. Yeah. Because it's going to actually improve your relationship. It's also going to give you a lot of insight into your partner's fears, worries, doubts, and concerns about your relationship. It'll bring up a very strong, good conversation about their past breakups and how those have gone.
Right. And it'll also bring up a lot of things you need to be able to recognize. It'll also bring up things in general. A lot of people think I'm weird, but I always plan for the breakup after the 3rd date. When I start investing, I need to know what I'm investing in, what my exit strategy is, and exactly what it's going to look like.
Well, and to some degree, yes. Like, you need a plan.
Right.
And it's not that you're planning to execute the plan.
Right.
It's not that you are, trying to add more drama to your life. It is the legitimacy of the fact that not a lot of relationships make it anymore. And some relationships are, so to speak, seasonal.
Right.
That you're together for, a reason or a season. It's not going to be a forever. Right. They're part of your path to your next relationship, and that's okay. I have exes that I don't hate. I have exes I'm friends with.
Yeah.
For the simple reason that we were able to act like adults when we broke up.
And then there's some exes that, no.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah. There's a couple exes that it's like, no, you can die. no.
Right.
Like,
Um, but at the same time, and a lot of people think this is weird, but I agree with Brenda, plan for the worst, hope for the best. But if you are sharing expenses, household, acting as married,
mm-hmm.
you need to have a plan. You need to figure out, well, who's moving, who retains the assets, who's, and when I say assets, whose couch is it? Whose
Mm-hmm.
dining room table is it? You know.
Well, and a lot of it for me has to do as well, financially at least.
Right.
How many people have you seen that gets stuck in a relationship due to finances?
Right.
Or they that even that they've become the stay at home, so their skills are outdated, and what the hell am I supposed to do? Or people who we can't afford to break up.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're too financially commingled and maxed out.
Mm-hmm.
We have a house neither one of us can independently afford. We have a lifestyle neither one of us can independently afford. It's taking everything we've got to do this. If
Mm-hmm.
we split up, neither one of us can move out.
Right. And then
Um,
now shared assets.
mhm.
You know.
Good job, Brenda. Love it.
Good job, Brenda.
Always have a plan.
Always have a plan. Relationships can go swimmingly. And 2 days. And by the way, before we get the worry comments, no, we're not divorcing.
No.
We have a plan for it if we need to.
Mhm.
I'll enjoy moving to San Francisco, but I'm not divorcing. We're not divorcing.
Yeah, we're not splitting. Well,
Right.
we're not married. And that's just because I don't know. I think it's more so we're not quite there yet. Um, I don't know. That's where I'm at.
Well, we don't have the right to marry the way I want to marry, so wait till it becomes the way it should be, and then we'll look at it.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the best way I can explain it is, yeah, our rights are legally,
Mm-hmm.
being still debated to marry.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And this isn't a great time to, as what would be a gay couple, to do this in America. A lot of things are in flux. We have a very adversarial administration. And something tells me that after the smack in the face from Friday to Monday, because talk about news cycle, we had a news cycle over the weekend.
Yeah.
With the Supreme Court, but we will get to that on Friday.
But
no, it's not a good time right now to
right.
For something that this administration is so adversarial on.
Mm-hmm.
Or more importantly, is so pro religious freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Now's not a good time to complicate this situation.
Right. Because
With having to battle a federal government, a state government, a local government as to are we married? Are we not married? Are we single? Do we file our taxes 2 different ways? Do we do this 2 different ways? What does this do in other regards of our life?
Right. But also, I do not want to be that couple.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a couple like that, and it now has 5 marriage certificates. There is only so much room on that wall in there.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's a big part of it is that, and historically that's for couples that can even get married.
Right.
Because there are still couples that the best thing they could do at the time was one adopted the other.
Right.
And so that creates its own separate issues of how do you, divorce your father and then get married.
Right.
I'm thinking the state's going to pop up and go, whoo, hold on a minute. What the hell?
Right.
That, there are issues like that creates a lot of problems, and those problems are not born of their choices. Those problems are born out of a horrible age of hate and ignorance.
Right.
And this is the legacy of that, is you're going to have people that untangling what they had to do in order to be at least reasonably recognized in the states in which they lived in some familial capacity. That created a whole nother set of problems.
Right. And a whole lot more problems and a whole lot of things. But, in general, even though we're not married, acting as married, so the courts don't really give us, we still have an agreement. And a lot of people are going, well, we don't need to marry, that's so old fashioned. Well, that's fine. But that means that there needs to be a clear understanding of who is what and what is what. And I don't think you even realized where that was at until probably 2 days ago when I was cleaning out the pantry. I'm like, can I throw this away?
Yeah, that was a weird moment. Is like, because I'm one of those people, if stuff is broken, why are we keeping it? Like, if it's not sentimental and I'm going to glue it back together, and that's usually going to happen pretty quickly. But like, because this was over, we were cleaning out the pantry. This was over a spiralizer. We owned 2 at this point. When the first one broke, I thought there was some other reason you were saving it, like interchangeable blades or something. I don't use it. I don't care. Not enough to know. So I thought you were saving it for that reason, that like the parts were interchangeable or something, like whatever. No, turns out the whole reason you saved it is because it was mine. Right. And you didn't feel comfortable throwing out my stuff. And I'm like, no, it's broken. Trash it.
But you never gave me a decision to trash it.
I didn't think I needed to. It was a broken appliance.
Well, dear, it's like the stacks of paperwork. I don't go through them and throw out your paperwork.
No, that's different. That's totally different. You can screw up my whole life doing that. My sticky note collection is important.
No, I'm talking about the 400 copies of the same thing that says we owe nothing.
No, I like having that one.
I know. I like having the updated copy of that one. The rest of it can go in the trash.
Well, there you go. But no, in some ways, I do like my paper still. Like, I really am trying to move more digitally. The biggest problem that I have is I haven't really had time and storage. And getting everything set up to just sit here and scan the crap out of my life.
Right.
But yeah. Yeah, there is a lot there. We do have some documents that help us in those regards. At least one. But yeah, there are a lot of things conferred with marriage. And I don't know. I'm just kind of, I don't want to say I have cold feet about it. It's not really that I'm there. It's more so, it's like, that's a thing I want to do once. And then, like, if that ends in divorce, then, in the future, it ain't happening again.
Well, not only that,
I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do the 15 marriages, 14 different last names kind of thing.
Right.
Like, not my life goal, and too confusing. And have you been to your local DMV recently and tried to renew your license? Enough said. I have great sympathy for any woman ever who has ever been through a divorce, even one, let alone 5 or 10, because the amount of crap that they will put you through with a renewal, not like, getting your license, but a renewal, a stupid friggin' renewal. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Well, and maybe we should vlog that experience
Oh.
because, I've got to go do that whenever they reopen.
Which they have. They are doing appointments.
Yeah. So we've got to get
we
that
need to get
scheduled.
on that.
Yeah.
Because someone had a birthday back in March in the middle of all this, and someone's license is expired.
Uh-huh.
Technically.
Technically, I have 6 months to renew it.
Well,
but at the same time, there's a lot of stuff that goes into my renewals. I mean, like I've got to have a passport, I've got to get a birth certificate, I've got to go get a social security card, find a social security card, and hope that my documents are the ones they want.
Which is a problem and can be DMV dependent even. Like even specific offices will give you a runaround.
Yeah.
Other offices are just like, yep, you're good. Here's your card. Whereas some offices are like, they're stopping terrorism. Like they're really keen on preventing terrorism, and it's like, okay, can you chill down? No. Like chill out. Just like, hi, calm down a minute.
Right.
Like it'll be okay.
But at the same time, there's someone that has another license, and it's like, no, that is not the correct driver's record. Check the driver's number.
Yeah. Well, and you've been lucky in a few regards, is that the person who screwed with your identity thankfully did a few things that help.
Yes.
As in they got your birthday wrong. I believe that was part of it. What was it? Was it the wrong day or the wrong year?
They have the wrong year. They have the wrong birth certificate.
Yeah. So it does help.
Right.
Yeah. Because that's super complicated for you anyway. But
right. There's a lot of super complicated stuff, and it's going to get a lot more complicated, but it'll be fun.
Oh, good deal. Yeah, that's like major advantage there. Because it's the chain of name changes that they really want to see, because to them it's a change in identity. But to have to walk around with all of that every single time you've got to show up and get a renewal. And especially like, Brenda's pointing out is, people who are 60, like over 60 at this point, a lot of shit happens in 60 years of life.
Right. And a lot of records no longer exist.
Do what now?
A lot of records no longer exist.
Well, and my mom ran into that issue. Because my mom was born in 1938. She's deceased now, so do with that as you please. But my mother was born in 1938. The hospital or the birth record at the courthouse burned down. At the point in her life in which she needed to get a copy of her birth certificate, that she absolutely positively could not do anything unless she had a copy of that birth certificate, became a nightmare. And that was decades ago, before we were concerned with terrorism and people, using, identification documents as a false identity for employment, or terrorism, to have a false identity to open a bank account. All these things that we are now concerned with. Freaking A, these were basic vital statistics, and a lot of, the way these records were kept, yes, were meant to preserve them, but they were not necessarily meant to, like, there wasn't a good backup here.
Right. And any error made during that time, pre-Patriot Act, is now permanent.
Well, or more importantly, it is now like a way more complicated process to go fix it.
Right.
Because now my mother's the courthouse that contained her birth record burned down. For my grandfather, retiring in '84, looking towards his full UMWA pension, he almost didn't get one because all of a sudden he had a problem, which occurred because his parents, after 20 some children, named him HW. Literal name, HW. At a future point after he was born, the and during Social Security threw a glitch on that, because in this long succession of children, his older brother was named WH. So this is a family with an HW Arrington and a WH Arrington. And they're like, this is going to get confusing. You have to actually pick a name for this child, my grandfather. Or more importantly, you need to choose a name. So he did. And didn't change anything in his life, technically. Because he kept with the initials. That the two names were started with H and W. By this point in his life, he was already employed. Yes. Mothers. There were two Mrs. Arringtons. One died in, obviously, one died in childbirth. There were, the first wife had 13 kids. The second wife had 13 kids. That is births, not raised to adulthoods. We are talking late 1800s to early 1900s. Death in childbirth was so common, it just wasn't a surprise. But anyway, yeah, big family. Lots of choosing names for children. And so anyway, he kept going. He was already employed at this point. His employment records were under H.W. Arrington. So when he got ready to retire and started, that process, the Social Security Administration had never gotten a single reporting of wages or income in his entire employed life. And they're going, what retirement? He had to go through a very complicated process just to prove that H.W. Arrington, the employee with a pension and a retirement and contributions and filed taxes, was also his technical legal name with the Social Security Administration.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of kid. It messes with people's heads, but like late 1800s,
that was a small family.
Well, no, it was never a small family.
Well, in comparison, 7 kids today.
Well, like, to me, the thing that gets me is like the Duggars, like 18 and counting, 19 and counting, that whole concept, it just frightens people. Like, oh my God, that poor woman or those poor women. That kind of concept. But in an earlier time, without birth control and humans doing what humans be doing, and as I've said, I don't think women in my family get headaches that often. Just saying. 26 children.
Right.
Hi.
But then you have the other side of that. Like my grandmother, she was married 13 times. She married 13 men. So when they came to figuring out her retirement, oh, Lord Jesus.
Well, but can you imagine your grandmother having to try to go get a driver's license renewed today?
Oh dear
Like,
God, she would no. She'd have to bring in a banker's box and go, here you go.
which marriage do you want next? Do you want them alphabetically or chronically or chronologically?
Oh, knowing her, she would go, which do you want? The birth, death, or news reports?
Yeah, really. And then, by the 30s, my mother was one of 9 children. I am one of 5 children. Like, family sizes have decreased over the decades. Like, my family illustrates it beautifully. And that's why I run into a problem, though, is I'll run into someone and they go, "Oh, are you related to so and so Arrington?" I don't know. Our family tree is printed out on a roll that is this friggin' big, and it's like whoosh. To figure out, am I related to someone? I don't have a clue. I can't keep up with it. Like, Jesus.
Yeah. Well, I am one of 3 on one side and one of 2 on the other side.
Yes.
Yes. My parents had children. I don't have siblings.
Which I have always found interesting. And now, technically, I will say that my combined parents had 5 children. And I'll just go on record with the biggest open secret in the family was that dad cheated on mom. And we have no idea how many potential steps or half siblings we have.
Right. I do want to do either 23andMe or Ancestry.com or whatever it is on you and me and just see how much controversy that starts.
I ready for that? I ain't ready for that. Like, no. Jesus, take the wheel. No.
Marty, he doesn't even have a driver's license in this household.
I know, but still, good Lord.
What? I am nice.
Oh, but yeah, no. Yeah, I don't know that I can handle finding that out. Because we did already have one surprise that turned out to be one of my brother's kids. And because my dad and my brother are a junior senior, there was a brief moment because they were both in the same place at similar time periods, not at the same time, but within, a few years. There was a moment there that there was some confusion over which one was father of the child.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you told me that your dad couldn't have a North Carolina driver's license.
That's a totally different story. I'm not going into that one.
Yeah, but that's the same one. I mean, it's the same problem with identity.
Well, and the biggest problem they had with identity is neither one of them would use the junior and senior, respectively, on anything.
Right.
Which then again also rolled into after my grandmother passed, ran into a hitch with our local courthouse. Because she had a life estate left to her son that was bypassed by him dying before she did. But because the courthouse was seeing the same name, they did a midair collision, and for a brief while, my brother technically owned the house, according to the courthouse.
Right, and Brenda,
they didn't understand the difference. Pardon?
Brenda's telling us 23andMe is the way to go because apparently the report isn't as detailed.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. and that happens. And it's in different times. That is the one thing about genealogy that you will notice. There were communities in which you will run into that. And that has more to do with the lack of mobility of communities. That eventually some family trees got really intertwined. Before Industrial Revolution, Age of the Car, that kind of thing. You ended up with some very interesting, communities in which these families are all related. Like they're just kind of like moving back and forth.
Yep. And Brenda found out she had another half brother. That would be interesting. That's kind of scary. What I'm looking to see from 23andMe, if we get to do it, is exactly what all heritages is in that Romney line. Because once I get those heritages, I literally can make a line on a map all the way back, hopefully.
Well, yeah, effectively. Yeah, the different influences in your genetics would start to show where what the migration pattern was.
Right.
So, yeah, it will be very, very interesting.
Yeah. That'll be highly interesting for me. In general. And I'm that type of person that wants to know, okay, like I know the pathway from New York to West Virginia to Florida to back up to New Jersey and then back to West, I know that path. I want to know from New York
backwards.
Like I know that there was hundreds of years spent in slavery in Romania. Got stories for it. That's why we don't like police. But I want to see the rest of it. And then just looking at the different things there, but also it's important health-wise for me because more Asian people, are sensitive to these health matters. I don't look Asian. Every year I don't look Romney. I look white. So where's the Irish in there?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of different things that can happen in families. And depending upon who married who and what genetic, markers or what genetic factors became predominant.
Right.
And it can also, there are families in which you can have multiple generations of very light-complected people. And then all of a sudden, the right situation at conception occurs, and suddenly a recessive gene pops out. And suddenly you have a red-haired child, and there's no other redheads in the family. Or you suddenly have a child that you're looking at going, honey, did you have an affair? Because what the heck, man? What? Only to find out through genetic testing that no, you have some recessive genes in here. Something has remained dormant for a few generations, and the right situation occurred.
Right.
And suddenly you have a child who is very dark complected. Hi, all the right things hit at all the right places, and boom, genetics is fun.
Yeah. So that'll be fun to see. We're being suggested to do that around Christmas when the kits are on sale. We will add that to the planner.
Do what now?
The 23andMe, the kits go on sale closer to Christmas.
They do?
Yeah, so, let's go ahead and put that on the planner. Hopefully in July, we will be having a lot of reviews because, Wish is supposed to be floating my cards across by, I don't know, pigeon crossing?
Well, no, right now, a lot of Wish products come out of China. And if for anyone paying attention to world news, there's a lot of things going on with even commercial flights coming out of China and moving products around the world.
Right.
So it is creating a lot of delays, both for that item to board a cargo plane, one of the limited number of planes allowed, as well as so basically everything's queued up, and then the processing of all of that cargo once it gets to the U.S. There's a lot more scrutiny. So it is putting a lot of delays onto sites that are especially shipping out of China, but are shipping around the world.
Right.
We've kind of ground the globalization, the ability to move products all around the world. We're that had the brakes pumped really hard on it.
Right. But no, the last thing that I saw was maybe they would be higher July 16th. Now, we won't be doing like 40 of them at a time. We will be doing them one at a time. And then, of course, they will go up on House of Aeson for sale if they're useful. If not, guess what, guys? Be looking for punch bowls when I'm doing live events or classes. You can actually pull one of those because those will actually go into the punch bowl.
Yep. Those are our favorite business cards. They start a lot of conversations. And if you're at an event in the future and you pull the death card, please don't put it back.
Yes.
Please stop doing that. It scares people. Please talk to us. We will help you understand that is talking about changes and endings, not about literal death.
Right, and the Three of Swords, and the Tower, and the Devil, because there's like 4 of those now in the bowl. Because no one whenever they pull them,
they go ah! And put it back.
Put it back. No, those are for you to take home. You have some lovely techie stuff that we're going to be using that'll actually be like a scratch-off thing, giving them a discount or a free service.
Yep. And the reason we're doing that is we do want to kind of randomize it so that we can do different levels of discount. So it is also kind of fun that you can have a discounted appointment with Aeson. And I think we're going to be applying that to voice/video only. Is that correct? Or is that in person only?
No, it will be all.
All. Any and all. Wow. Yep. So that is, we have lovely little scratch offs we're going to be using to hide that. So you actually, once you scratch, unless you want to go through the whole bowl and find the magic one, that's got the highest discount.
Well, not only that, but there's going to be free things in there, like a free angel reading or a free, heck, we'll throw in a free astrology chart. Those will be in the bowl too.
Oh yeah.
Well, actually, both, because there's technically going to be 3. There'll be one moving with me to like festivals when we rejoin them, which will probably be not till November. Just the way I'm looking at it. Then there'll be one at CLS that'll be there even though I'm not there, and then I will be taking one up to Earth Magic. So that's 3 different bowls.
And Brenda says she will gladly take a signed death card. Maybe that's a thought. Maybe that's a way.
If you guys ever want any of your business card signed merch that we've talked about, because I've thought about having merch for the fucking coffee shop, I will definitely sign it.
Sorry, I just read Sharon's. This has Satan down as the name when I call her phone. Oh my God. Okay, so I have to ask, and I know that's very telling, but what age approximately is the eldest? Are we talking like old enough to know better and still too young to care? Or are we talking about like teenager going through some angst? Like, I'm just curious. I have to ask. I have to know now. But yeah.
Yeah. But that does bring up a good point, and then we're going to wrap up on that is phones. Um, I am putting back into practice my ringtones for people. We took that out of practice for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're going back on my phone so I can tell who's calling.
Okay, so
Oh,
that's angsty. That's angsty. That'll change, and she'll feel bad about that.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I would assume Sharon seems awesome. I don't think she's a bad mom. I don't think she deserves Satan. But right now, when you're like 14 and hormonal, and you like your body's doing weird, crazy things, and you're just angry at the world, and you want out of this crap because you're an adult now. Yeah.
yeah,
Kraken. Wow. 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 The 12-year-old is definitely playing follow the leader. There was a brief point in my life that I seriously thought about putting sperm donor as my father's contact name in my phone. But yeah, there it was. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. I mean, it's how I talked about him for the longest time. Um, but yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, we will so look forward to that. Oh, we're gonna
Yeah,
love
we
this. There is
definitely look
artwork.
forward to that. Guys, we're going to be wrapping up, but if you guys got news articles you want us to talk about, send them
Mm-hmm.
to us. Commentary pictures. If it is a photo, we do need your typed permission to share.
Mm-hmm.
But we will definitely do sharing and hanging out and that type of thing. Be sure to subscribe to all three of our pages, which is the Psychic Coffee Shop, Aeson Knight, and Mountain Bears.
Yes. And as always, we like to thank Beverly Walker and the Crystal Lotus Shop for their support as Patreon sponsors. And the Crystal Lotus Shop is at 89 Old Main Plaza in St. Albans, West Virginia. Always make sure to check them out.
Yep, and I will be there Saturday,
Yes.
masked it up and ready to read.
Make sure to book your appointment 24 hours in advance. If you review our COVID policy, you will notice a few things. Some of the changes that are occurring will make walk-ins less desirable, unfortunately. That has to do more with timing, and the amount of time we need to clean and sanitize and allow that to dry before we move to the next appointment. Means that any appointments that run long, anything like that, it's not going to be like it was, where fitting people in was really quick and easy. It's actually not going to be quick and easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, I will after Saturday. I will be taking live appointments. They will be back available for you to book.
Mm-hmm.
You have to always book those 24 hours in advance. Walk-ins. There are some events that we are going. 2 Saturdays a month I'll be down there. One for the Taste of the Lotus. The other will be a walk-in day.
Mm-hmm.
But if it gets busy, you can expect to wait.
Yeah. Well, and I think at this point we almost need to call it just a pre-planned gonna be there day.
Yeah.
Versus like walk-in is what it was, but anymore, like, please book ahead. You will make your life so much easier. You'll know when to show up.
Mm-hmm.
We will have everything ready for you then.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course, in a booked versus walk-in situation, booked gets priority.
Yes. All right, y'all. Have a great night. Have fun. Relax. Enjoy yourselves. Be safe, and we'll see you Friday for Mountain Bears. Good night, y'all.
Good night.